Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for attending our webinar today. We're going to talk about supply chain. I'm Fabio Rosa, CEO and co-founder of TagoIO. I'm here today with David Hall to talk about how TagoIO can bring value for the supply chain operation using IoT devices and the TagoIO platform. We are recording this webinar, so you can watch later, share with others. Also, we have a Q&A section that we are going to be using at the end of this presentation. So feel free to any time to make any question or comment so that you can address the questions at the end of this presentation. So the agenda for today, you cover basically 45 minutes. We are going to talk about TagoIO concepts very quickly. Then we are going to, for sure, move to the supply chain part, talk about some example devices, the ecosystem, the user cases, and then David will lead from there by doing a presentation on the TagoIO and Tago Run for supply chain sector. So let's start. Very high level, TagoIO is the cloud platform that transforms the business that through the creation of value from this information coming from the sensors and interactions with the sensors from the business side. So today we are, first of all, located here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are working very heavy with partners in an ecosystem to create this solution to our customers. We are today more than 100 countries. We have more than 400 certified devices. And these devices are from different type of application, different type of sectors, of course, including supply chain, logistics, and they can be connected through the internet through different ways of connectivity. That's why you have been partnered with Lot Alliance, Zigfox, companies that manufacture the shit like SCT, Syntec, network providers, like Evernet, Tactility, and so on, because we really believe that we need partners to bring the solution to the marketplace. So if you think about TagoIO, I want to understand where is TagoIO and how you can use it in the overall ecosystem, this picture is going to help you. So on the left side, you can see the end devices that basically are sensors. So these sensors need to send information through the internet to TagoIO. If you use, for example, LoRa 1 connectivity, you need a gateway or at least a network to manage that information. And we work very hard with different providers so that this integration to get this data from the sensor and send it back to the sensor if necessary is done in a secure and easy way. So we create connectors for that. You can see on the left side that it don't have only LoRa 1, but also have Zigfox, we have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, Z-Wave, or cellular as a means of connectivity to bring data. So basically, we can connect with any kind of network. Then on top of a TagoIO, you can build your solution. And this solution can be integrated with maybe your business backend system or integrated with other open system, like maybe the CRM, or ERP system, or maybe even Google Sheets or any kind of database that you have in other place. It's important to share that TagoIO is where you're going to build your solution, where you have developers putting this together, and then you have Tago Run. On the bottom, you can see Run. Run is where you deploy your solution. For example, when I talk here about the supply chain, your users are going to, for sure, use the Tago Run with your logo and so on, as I'm going to show you 1 minute. So these are the key components. We have each of these components that's very important for IoT solution, but with some additional features. Okay, for example, for device management, you have all the security, the tokens, authorization, but also you can create connectors. You can do with private connectors just for your application. You can get your connector that's basically a driver for the device and get it public. So anyone in the organization can use it. Data storage, you can use on Targo, or you can also allocate or have a mirror of the database in your company, for example, or in other server. Analysis is really where we see a lot of value, because that's where you can create scripts. And these scripts can run part of a code in JavaScript or Python that's gonna, for example, create reports, automate system, integrate with other software. Then, of course, you have the dashboards. So as you're gonna see here, you can build your widgets, you can use what you have, then you create the visualization, and you can allow the users to see your application in the browser or even the mobile app that you have. And going beyond this area of the sensors, you have user access, user management, not only for you, if for your co-developers, but it's also for your end users. If you have one user or 10,000 users that are accessing your information, you can manage from Targo. And of course, you have the white label version. That's very, very cool. There are some steps that you need to take to build your application, very high level. First, you go to the admin.targo.io. You can start with a free account that allows you to integrate up to 5 devices, create 5 dashboards, and create actions, store data, and so on. So when you go there, create your solution, you can already start sharing with some people. But as you want to have this as a product, you can use Targo, add your brand, and make the solution available for the users. So you can change your domain. So your users are not going to need to create an account at TagoIO. They are going to create an account in your domain. They're going to receive emails from you, not from us. You can change the colors, add your logo, change the background, favicon, and so on. And that's very nice because you can do this for them to access on the browser and also in the mobile app. So the level of configuration is very high. Also, you can create reports, and that's a very nice part. And people ask us a lot, what kind of report can we create? There are some that you just click there and you get it. For example, you can get an Excel file with the list of all the devices or the data or the chart. But you can also create nice reports, very customized for you. For example, you can create a PDF report like this one. And by the way, you have the example in our community. You don't need to be limited to the widgets and to the font and size that you have in colors. You can do whatever you want. So you have some examples that allow you to do that. Also, we created Targo in a way that's not only to show data from the sensors, but also allow to capture inputs through forms from the users. For example, you can ask for the user to add the name of the company, personal information, or upload a picture, and so on. So you really can get inputs to make your application very, very complete. And there are many other features. Just to quote some of them: multi-language. Even a free version, you are able to use the multi-language. We call this dictionary. So instead of having you typing some of the words just for one language, you can translate for each one that you select, and then your user can pick the language and they can see in their original language. We have also the SSO, single sign-on. So that increases not only the security level, but also allow companies, enterprise level mainly, to have full control of their users. And then you have the custom mobile app. We have the free version that is really very nice because you can really customize a lot. But if you want to us to deploy for you the version on App Store or Google Play with your brand and so on, you can request that so that everything will be really white label for you. Okay, that's a very high level introduction. So let's talk about supply chain. So we have been talking this series about other industry, and we're going to continue in the next months. But this one here is really about supply chain, right? So supply chain is, as you would normally say, right, is the whole party, is really get to the product even before, right, the raw material, and then how companies are gonna manage this during the production and storage, distribution, and so on. So there are even overlaps with logistics and transportation. Okay, so here are some example of parts that are included with the supply chain. Asset tracking, indoor and outdoor, condition monitoring. I think that's very important because what normally we say, and that Targo plays a very good role there, is that it's not only about have a location, but have additional sensors for environmental. For example, you can measure the temperature or the level of acceleration, force, and the other variables. So you can apply these supply chain also, for example, in cold chain management or medical equipment. Also, of course, you can do inventory, and you can have storage management. Other thing that's also important is that it's not only about things. Maybe your application or part of the application that you're going to use with your platform, or let's say with TagoIO platform, is only assets, like fixed asset or objects, but maybe also you can connect with workers. For example, you want to know what people are doing, where they are located, so they can go closer and get the goods from the shelves, for example, right? So at the end of the day, it's important to tell that it's important to have a platform that not only get one set of data from somewhere, but that you can combine from different things, because we really have seen a lot companies come with new devices that they are using their application, but they also have information already in their enterprise. So they want to combine this, okay? One example of a diagram when you talk about supply chain can be something like that. Okay, for example, you talk about asset optimization with the objective, of course, to get the system more efficient overall. We can have sensors. Let's say in the left side here, we have information from the staff, where they are located, do they need help, and so on, okay? We can get information about the asset, let's say in this case, this box, where this box is located, is indoor, is outdoor, is there a position, 3D sensors, or just need a 2D location. We have something moving them, right? And the pallets on the forklift. So we can have a sensor there. And then, of course, if you go outside, you may have trucks that you want to track. Okay, so all this information can go to something in the middle that's going to concentrate this information and send it to Targo. If you talk about LoRa, we call this gateway. If you like Sigfox, it'd be a base station. If you talk about cellular, it'd be a cellular tower, right? This data comes to Targo so that Targo can process, can display the location, give you the status, generate the KPIs. That I think that really start to be very interesting. That's what people ask us, right? They want to understand, not only see in real time, but they really understand how many devices are located in a certain zone for how long time, and so on, right? And also they want to integrate with other systems that can be the enterprise system. Although we will put a lot of effort in our platform, in the visualization, we understand that sometimes customers really want to integrate for their system, so they don't need to look for two systems. Other thing that's important is about the feedback, right? So in this case, I just gave an example here, visual indicator, okay? If there is a box and somebody's walking the warehouse and want to visualize, it's important to understand if you need this capability. And you have seen this more and more, right? So we not only process and get the visualization for our customers, but also we're able to send back information so that can help them. Okay, these are a little bit tricky about the sensors. There are so many sensors. What really are very thankful for our partners for that, because it's really helped to open the numbers and the opportunities in the supply chain, right? These are just some examples. If you go to our website, or when you create your account at Targo, you go on side the devices, and you can see all the devices that you have. And by the way, there are others that are not even public, but these are some examples. right? These devices using normally to get, again, location and environment variables. That's normally how they are played, right? They are able to communicate with different kind of networks. You may not need all of them. Maybe you just need one. And those devices are normally connected, again, Sigfox, LoRa, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or cellular, or the new one like narrowband IoT. So here's a list of some devices. Normally, they call trackers, right? That can be indoor, outdoor. Some of them may have the GPS. Others may just get some part of an information so that we can process outside, like the R1110 from Syntax, a partnership where we integrate with Syntax so that they are able to sell the kits that get information through the Wi-Fi, so can get indoor information, and from the satellite, so that the Targo can process the data. And as a result, the battery life is very long and the cost is very impressive. So there are trackers that are very small, like the ID card, the last one here in the top right, that can be used as a card tracker to be used with a person. This is not only a GPS, but also contain accelerometer, right? So you can detect the movement and so on. So we have a lot of them here. We're gonna cover and use one of them as an example, and later, David, I'm gonna talk about another one as well. So what do we expect in terms of IoT for logistic? That's basically the movement part inside of supply chain. So it's about a lot about location and the environmental sensors. With our platform, it's possible to collect this data and display on the maps or in a floor plan, so you can have the information real time for indoor location. And again, it's important to have data aggregation, alerts, historical data, and KPIs. For example, this screen here, just a summary. It shows not only on the map, you not even see a map here, right? Because what people are looking for here, in this case, if they are, for example, tracking, what's a real case, tracking pallets, they needed to understand in real time how many assets are in this local now. For example, 98, okay? They belong to this site, but 27 of them are in transit. Okay, 71 in this case are indoor. So they can also get more information like what's the average dwell time, how many arrived in the last X hours, and so on. I think that's very important when you talk with an expert, because that's really bringing them a lot of information, even simple indicators, because they can see, okay, I didn't know that the average time was like 2 days, okay, in this warehouse. I can accelerate, speed up things here, okay? Also, with Targo, you can also give the visualization, not one dashboard, but you can give one visualization for the administrator, another for the supervisor, and the other for the end user. Let me give you this example here for the sensor. Again, there are other sensors, but that's really very cool in our perspective. This one from Alps Alpine, in order to increase the utilization of the asset, reduce the loss and theft, at the end, improve the supply chain efficiency. The Leichner tracker is very interesting, okay? And the reason is because I picked this one because it's quite sophisticated. It has algorithms inside of the sensor. It's not something that you just send a location, for example. And we haven't seen that the other sensors also are going this direction. And they work pretty well indoor, outdoor. And there are many more features, lifetime, and so on. Okay, this is connected to the Sigfox and also Wi-Fi. Sigfox, it is used to send the data, okay, for a platform like ours. And the Wi-Fi is just, let's say, to capture what's around so they can identify the location when it is indoor, okay? In this example here, we have asset moving from warehouse A to B. What's important and tricky is that you need to have a sensor that's not going to be sending information too often. It would be nice, but you can pay a lot for the data. traffic or storage, and also battery life is going to be reduced, right? So when it's not moving, once a day may be good enough, right? And by the way, with this sensor, you can program how often you want that. So when you go to the truck, go outside, you can pre-program with some parameters, like if the speed is higher than X kilometer per hours and already move X kilometer. So it means that already left the area and the time is greater than X hour, okay, or less than X hours, do something. In this case, for example, if it's in transit, there is no coverage, maybe it goes to power saving, okay, and reduce energy. And when the truck stop for a certain period of time, you can try to connect. And when they arrive in the warehouse B, in this case, it will be reactivated. So that's a very nice way to use. And again, there are other sensors that it can do, let's say, I don't mean the same job, but a job that can be important for you. So we really say, although we are not the expert in the sensors, we have great partners that really spend a lot of time talk about the sensors. We have a more user case. If you want, take a look in Targo.io /supply chain. There are other examples there. We don't have time for all of them. Now I want to switch here to David, so David can start to do the presentation and show a live demo for supply chain.
Thank you, Fabio. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today. I appreciate it. I'm going to go through my portion here. I'm going to start out with Tago Run before I get into the application for you guys and just explain a few quick things here, just some quick points. Tago Run, as Fabio mentioned during his presentation, it's very configurable. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but in the end, you're going to use it to deploy to your end users, people that are going to interact with your application, and so on and so forth. You can notice from here, it's pretty generic at this point. I put a title, and you could change this in real time. So you could actually see what things are going to look like as you're navigating through the configuration of Tago Run. You know, your logo, your browser favicon, and so on and so forth. And then you'll notice, and I'll show you this again in real time, but you'll notice down here, it's assetoptimization.run.tago.io. As Fabio mentioned with white label, we remove all references of Tago. Even the emails that you will send, and I'll show you those very quickly. Even the emails that you send from your application will have no reference to Tago. They'll come from your organization, your country, or your company, and obviously your white label, how you configure that. The domain, this is actually where you would change this. So even if you don't have white label, you could easily put in your company's name here, and it would change in real time right here. So you can kind of get a visual of what it looks like from that aspect. Navigation bars, you could change the look and feel to match your company's colors and theme and things like that. And one of my favorite parts is the sign up page and the theme. And I'll tell you why. And it's really cool, I think. So anyway, here you could have required fields. You could add more fields. You could insert terms and conditions for your company for legality purposes. If you need to do that, you have the option there to do it. But I really like the theme. And the reason why I like the theme is we have a few different options here. You could just use the default theme, which I'm on now. You could have an image, or you could actually have a video on here. And when I show this, when I demo the product to customers, a lot of us like, wow, I didn't know that you could do that. I've never heard of anybody, you know, having that. So you could put anything you want in there for your video for the background. You could change the opacity and colors and things like that. And then also you have multi-language, as Fabio mentioned. Very easy to use. And then I'll just hit on the email templates real quick. You could use the ones that we have, or you can create your own. It's really up to you. So it's very simple to use. And while I'm here, a couple points I like to call out is in this question mark on the right side of your Tago admin, you have some quick references here. So you really don't even have to leave your admin to get some quick reference points if you want. You could obviously go to the community from here, contact support if you need to, or just search, right? If I just search for GPS, look at, I got a bunch of suggestions here for GPS, the map widgets, routers, and so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's very quick self-help options there, as well as our quick start. If you notice here, let's say show me, it's going to highlight it on the right, and it's going to give you a really cool tip on exactly what does this do at a high level. I won't go through all these, but I think you all kind of get the idea. It's very easy to use. You say show me and look at it, and then you can kind of start building your application. But from that, let's go into the application itself. So here's the link here. If I click that link, it's just going to launch this one. I already had it up, so I'm just going to click on it. But from here, I have an organization list. Think of this from a supply chain standpoint. Maybe I have 5 different warehouses across the country, or 100 different warehouses across the country. And all of them do things similar, but there's obviously going to be differences within these warehouses. Maybe it's product, maybe it's the machinery being used. Obviously, the people are going to be different and things like that. You can easily create a warehouse list or an organization list by just clicking this create button. And again, this is very easy to use. You could just drag and drop, give it a name. You could type in the address by yourself. You can go to a quick, cool map, satellite map, and then you would create it. So very easy to use. You can also search very quickly up here on the top toolbar if you need to do that. And many of our customers do, because they have all kinds of different applications within their application. So, hundreds of warehouses could be. You could also edit from here if you want to change the location or the name and things like that. And then obviously you can delete, and you can, as well as you can export. And you'll see this type of functionality throughout our product. And it's very welcomed by the customers that I speak to. Again, I am the customer success manager. So I speak to people all day long, probably 100 people a week, easily, speaking to people about the product and really how they can achieve their goals with Tago. So that's pretty standard across it, and you'll see it as I go through this. But in this case, I'm going to just go through Tago, my organization or my warehouse here. And here, so I might have an organization of Tago, but underneath that, I might have 3 sites. So let's just say I have a very large campus of 100 acres, and I have 4 or 5 warehouses on there. Now, yes, I do have organizations or warehouses across the country that are physically in different locations graphically, but maybe I have a large 100-acre site and I have 4 or 5 warehouses on there. Here, I can create my sites for each one. Or you can wrap them all into one. It just matters on how you want to do it. But again, same concept here. I won't go into this too much, but throughout the product, you have the same options for edit and delete. And then before I get actually into the site, the device tracking, the tracker device list, basically your sensors. Oh, and keep in mind, as I'm going through this presentation, all these titles and things you see here are all very configurable. This is not hard-coded. If you wanted to change tracker device list to your sensor that you're using or whatever you want to do, it's very configurable. That's one thing that I love about Tago, and it's very easy to talk about. And people don't realize how customizable Tago is. I could talk for an hour on the customizations, but I won't do that here. But I think you guys get the point. But here I could just say add new, and it's a very easy interface to work through for your end users. If your end users wanted to add their devices in the warehouses or things like that, or anywhere within their supply chain. You can give it a name, you could scan the QR code, and then you could select the site. And as you create sites, you're going to see this pre-populated with that. But with that, while I'm talking about it, I didn't plan on doing this, so let me pull this up real quick. If you would focus on my camera just for a moment, I am using the native Tago mobile app here. And all I've done is type in the URL that was in my run, and boom, I'm looking at the application immediately. Let's say I'm on the floor of a warehouse and I want to add a device. Boom, right there. I do it right from my mobile phone. Once I do that, it's going to automatically show up in here, and all the other users that have access will be able to see it. So I didn't expect to do that, but it's very cool. So I thought I'd show it. And then from here, we have the battery level. There's a little more information on that. You have last report. Again, you have the search functionality and your edit and delete options. So now that I've created my organization, my site, I have my sensors or my trackers, I've configured those. Now I'm going to associate them with my equipment list. What's it attached to? In this concept, I'm going to show you kind of like a shopping cart, right? Really. And in this one here, same idea. I'm going to say, okay, well, what is the name of this? I named it Shopping Cart 03. I do have a picture for this. And then what asset do I want to attach it to? And this will be pre-populated as you build out your application. So you know, okay, well, this asset is connected to my shopping cart sensor number 03. So very cool to do there. Now let's get into the site itself. And as you'll notice, as this loads here, there's lots of different options here, but one thing I want you to focus on, and there's lots of quick navigation within Tago all over the place. And it's really helpful for a lot of different areas. It just matters where you're at in your application. So here I'm on Tago, but let's say I needed, whether I'm on my mobile phone on the floor of the warehouse, or I need to find out where my truck is or where my pallets are going, or any type of status you need, you can easily just navigate here to your organization. Quick drop down, same for the site. In this particular case, I have a parking lot. I have a geofence around the parking lot. This could be where your trucks are with your pallets, and trucks are coming in and out, picking up your equipment and things like that. And I also have a geofence around my facility as well. You could also filter these out. For the sake of this discussion, I only have one thing in this particular one, but you would see the whole list here, and you could really filter that out for very quickly. Again, quick navigation, quick find, which is really nice. Here, then we also have the outdoor map. As my asset moves around, I'm going to see where it's going in real time, where it's at, whether it's on a truck or sitting in another warehouse somewhere else. I'm going to see it move around, which is really cool. Again, you have the map options. You could zoom in and out and those, as well as filter. And you can also, as well as not just filter, with that, let me close out of that. You can edit your geofences. So in this particular case, I don't have any geofences, but I could add one very easily just by creating the circle. Boom, name the geofence, select what type of event. Do I want this to be red, green, yellow, so on and so forth. And bam, you're done. 2 steps. You have yourself a geofence. I'll show you in alerts later how you can interact with that. In this particular case, we do have a picture here. And then I have my alert history. Again, very important, right? I am using simulated data in this particular instance, but I'd be able to see what floor it's on, what's room. Again, all these headings are very configurable to whatever suits your needs for your application and your desires. I could also export this list. I do have a lot of customers that like that functionality, whether they do that through analysis or they do it through the application. Most do it through the application because they want to keep a history of their alerts and things like that. Very easy to do. And then from here, if I go to the floor beacon setup, I will go back to the asset map here in 1 second. Here again, I'm using simulated data, but I have beacons set up within the building. I have one here in the shed. And this is really taking the location of what asset. So all these beacons are associated with my assets. Very, very easy to configure. So I know if I'm looking for shopping cart 03, it's immediately going to be closest, whatever beacon it's going to be closest to, that's the one that's going to report it back to me. It's very accurate too, by the way. So that's really cool. I have a floor list again, that search functionality is the same. I can add a new beacon just very easily by the MAC address. I could say where it's at and give it a name. So very interesting there. Geofence setup, I kind of already showed you that. But just for sake for this, same concept, right? You can add a polygon, a circle, you can edit your geofences or delete them, and so on and so forth. So again, very easy to use. That's one thing I like about Tago, and a lot of people tell me they like about it, is yes, there's slight differences in how you can configure things, geofences, beacons, adding sites, adding sensors, but it's just a few basic things that you really need to grasp, and it's very easy to grasp. and then boom, you're on your way. You're already comfortable and you're just moving around very quickly and doing what you need to do in a very quick fashion. So very easy to use, and navigation is very easy. Indicators. Fabio mentioned indicators, very important. In this particular case, what I'm looking at here is I have a quantity of 2 assets. I have one that's moving and then one that's on standby, and currently I have 0 offline. And then we have a nice graph bar here where I can see, okay, we're on the, what was going on the 16th? I had 2 on standby, and you could drill down to this a little more, but you get the idea. You could just easily here navigate just by moving your mouse over it and figuring out where things are at certain times, or obviously in real time up here at the top. And then, what equipment do I currently have inside a Geofence? Currently, I have one inside the Geofence. And then we also have the individual indicators. And what's cool about this, again, it's a little different graphic, but it's very helpful, right? Okay, I know this has moved in the last hour. Whatever that asset is, or that something within your supply chain, you know that, okay, well, it's moving, or that, the standby time was 46 minutes and it's, it's not inside any Geofence. And again, you have your tracking history here as well. So that's really neat when it comes to that. If I go back to indicators, again, you have the quick navigation. So in this particular case, let me go back to Targo real quick. Quick navigation. So if I want to know, okay, well, what is it for the shopping cart? Where's that? What's going on with it? Well, it hasn't moved in the last hour. And you could use that information. That should be a concern to you. If this pallet full of your goods hasn't moved in the last hour, and it should have, then it's something you might want to look at and investigate and things like that. But I think you guys get the idea here. And where is it at? It's inside the parking lot Geofence, or this could be, warehouse 1 or cold storage, whatever you want it to be, would be in there. Real quick, if I go back to the site, one thing I wanted to show you, as we navigate through here, when I show the Geofence setup here, let me go back to Targo, bear with me 1 second. I already talked about editing this and the indicators in general, but something that's cool down here on the far right that I wanted to mention, there's 2 things here that I wanted to mention, is that I can easily select here. I could just type in, what do I want to see? I want to see all or south parking lot. So you don't have to just look at one Geofence. You could really select all, or you could drill down. Very cool thing to do here. And then you could also look at your equipment list. If you didn't catch that, all I'm doing is clicking on these little yellow information marks. And I could easily navigate to that piece of equipment, find out where it's at and what's going on with it. So also very cool. For your users, Fabio mentioned managing your users. Obviously, that's a critical part of anybody's application in the supply chain. I would say 98% of the time, if not almost 100% of the time. But here you could invite your users, you could edit them. But here I would say, and this is important because if you want your users to get alerts, I'll show you that next. Obviously, you want to invite them to your application. You would do that through here. You put in their email address. They would get an email letting them know that you've invited them. You would put a phone number in here so they could receive SMS messages. And what type of alert? Fabio was talking about different levels of permissions, right? So in this case, it would be end user. End users, in most cases, they can just view, right? They can't really interact with it too much besides just look at things. But again, totally configurable. You could set those permission levels how you want. Organization admin, this could be a warehouse manager. This could be a warehouse supervisor, so on and so forth. Then you would just associate it with what site is this user, what is he associated with? Okay, very easy to use. I think that's cool as well. And again, you have the typical search and export. And then for your Alert Central, which I think is pretty neat here. So let me go back to Targo. Here you have your Alert Central. You could see where your alerts are. Hey, the battery is low. Again, this message, I'll show you this next. I configured myself. I just thought of something really quick, but you can type anything you want there for it to be your message. And then here you could set up on what type of alert do you want. In this particular case, I have, if it leaves the office or a geofence area, I want to know what equipment it is, who do I send it to, and what is my message. Same for battery. But to create it, you would just give your alert a name. And what is your alert condition? Again, configurable. It could be entering a geofence. It could be leaving a geofence. It could be battery level. It could really be just about anything that you want it to be, as long as your application, your sensors and all that support it. No problem for Tago at all. So I just put something very basic here so you guys get the concept. I would say, okay, what equipment do I want to do? I want to select all, or maybe I just want one. And what type of alert do you want? Do I want email, SMS, and send notifications for in-app notifications, which would be right up here? You'd get it on your mobile phone, you'd see it, you're on the warehouse floor or in your truck or whatever, you'd get that message of, hey, the equipment left the geofence, it's entered the geofence, it's arrived at its destination, so on and so forth. Or you can just select them all. It's not just one or nothing. You could select them all. Then you would say what users you have that you want the alert. Again, this is pulling from your user list. And you could choose. So just because you create a user and you invite them to your site, maybe they don't want alerts. They're like, no, don't bother me. I don't want any alerts. That's fine. You just don't select them in here. They're going to be available here, but they won't get an alert unless you select them. Obviously, if you do select them, they get the alert. So that's pretty cool there. From there, I believe we only have a couple minutes left. If you guys want more information on this, most of you probably know me. If not, again, David Hall, I'm easy to get in contact with. You can ask for a demo on the site or just email me directly. But with that, Fabio, I think I'm going to hand it back to you to see if there's any questions regarding your presentation, our presentations, or Tago in general. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, David. I think that's great. I know that there are a lot of things that you can show here. Before I go to the question, just remind everyone here, if you have any question, please just write in the Q&A so that I can read here and reply to you live, okay? So just before going to the question, I have here already 1, 2, nice. David is showing here the administrator level. Okay, there are other levels that you can add, like more simpler. Let's say that the person working the day-by-day operation, they should see just one site and so on. So you can do that, right? He mentioned this. You can add more devices. And at the same time, we have built this here to simplify the life of people, our customers, to go in the supply chain, okay? This can be a complete solution as is. Yes, you have a customer that say, yeah, that's good enough. That's what I need. And the other say, hey, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I really much more than that, right? And that's okay. We can start from this here. Okay, when the customers are working for us, they say, okay, let's start from this. Let's add the functionality that you need. Because again, David reinforced this several times, right? Customization. Right? So people say, hey, I don't want to input data manually here. I have my information of our equipment in my system, in my SAP system or whatever, and a spreadsheet. And that's okay. With Tago, you can add a script to have this ready to go. You click there and you can bring all the information. Okay, something that you need to customize it, that's fine, because we have the scripts that you can upload, as I mentioned before. Okay. So one question here is, okay, if I don't find a sensor in your list of devices, how do I do to add it?
Hey, that's a good question. So if you're in our device list, whether you can search on our main site, by the way, guys, or if you are in here, you can easily, let's go here and let's say it's not in the list. As you said, I look for GPS, it's not in the list. You would contact myself or support. I would like to speak to you first. If you give me the opportunity, then we'll look into what your device is. Obviously, we have over 400. I'm not even sure how many. I know we have over 400 devices. So we want to be able to get your devices on here and active. So you would just contact me and I'd work with you. It normally takes about 7 business days on average, sometimes a little less, hardly any time more, but very easy to do.
Nice. Yeah, any type of devices. Other question I have here is, when will this app be available for current Targo users? Okay, we have this here. When we work with the customers, we work with them to get in their account to start. Okay, some partners already have this access to this one, so they can demonstrate their sensors with Targo, and we continue to expand. Right, we know that there are a lot of things that we can do. We just want to keep simple and be a good demo. So we know that there are other things that you can add here. So I don't see who is doing these questions anonymous here, but you just go to TagoIO/demo and you can contact us or open a ticket asking for this, and case by case, we are gonna make available. And really, why you do that? Because we don't have a way today to click a button here and make available inside of your account right away. But we are working on that. Our goal is that pretty soon, let's say, hopefully until this year, you should be able to click here and say, okay, you wanted this demo, here's the script, here's the dashboard. However, if you get to the dashboard, the templates, you already can do that. It's just the scripts that take a little bit more time. It's a couple of hours. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Another one, what is the cost of a data plans for the Sigfox network? Okay, I can answer that. We don't sell a data plan for LoRa, for Sigfox, or cellular as per now. So you need to contact Sigfox, okay? And they're gonna ask what kind of a plan you want, how many data, and where you're located. So make sure that they have coverage for you. Okay. Let me see. There looks like another one here. Just a second. No, I don't see a question mark, but I don't see. Okay, there is one here. I already have a GPS in my fleet. Can I use the data on Targo, or do I have to change the devices? Okay, I think I can get this, David, as well. So basically, if you have, let's say, a fleet with GPS sensors, and this data is going to aggregator, and if there is an API there that you can collect the data, great. So you don't need to change. So we haven't seen this happen when customers say, hey, we have the trucks, but we want to add additional sensors to track the temperature, right? But the sensors don't have GPS, but I have the location in my system. So with Targo, they were able to combine both. So they already did the investment, they already have their account there, they can continue. We go and get the location from their system, of course, with their authorization, and then combine it with the temperature. So we know in that location, what's the temperature in the truck or inside the truck. So I believe that was the question. Okay. So I don't have any other question. David, I think you cover everything, right? So maybe where they can go from here, if they want to start, and yeah, if you can close with that, I think it would be great.
Yeah, that's one quick thing. Sorry, I'm so excited about this. I know we're running over a little bit. One thing that is new, by the way, everybody, it's fairly new, but a lot of people ask me about it, is the simulator. So when you're in add device, check out the simulators. You don't even need a real device, and you can create it or popping data already. You have it done in 5 minutes. But to answer your question, or not question, but to show you real quick, if you're on our main site, you can just create your free account in a couple clicks, and boom, you're in. You have your free account. You have your you have an option to sit down with me, even if you don't have an account you have with me. But just right here, you just say create your account, and off you go. And then you could have a free account within minutes.
Perfect. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much again for attending our webinar today. We are going to make this video available soon so that you can share with others as well. David, thank you. Very good job. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.